So over the last couple of days, we've gotten all of our newest magazine scans from Televi-Kun for both Super Sentai and Kamen Rider. And thanks to that, we have a lot of information on the upcoming Kamen Rider Geats, the final arc of Kamen Rider Revice, some Donbrothers information, and then not anything to do with the scans, we also have our first look at the Memorial Edition Geartozinger from Zenkaiju. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about here for today, so let's go ahead and dive right on into it. First up, I'm going to start with Kamen Rider Revice's final arc. So we have a tiny little bit of scans for what we can expect for the final battle, the final 5 episodes or so of Kamen Rider Revice, which I can't believe we're already here at the end game. So if you don't want any actual spoilers for Kamen Rider Revice's final arc, you can skip to this time code in the video. We'll be talking about Zenkaiju stuff at that point, because we're going to do Revice, then Zenkaiju, then Geats, then Donbrothers. So if you're still here, Kamen Rider Juuga is going to be essentially our final boss of Kamen Rider Revice, if these scans are to be comprehensive of the last 5 episodes. So Kamen Rider Juuga is going to actually be George. So we've already known that George has always been, the one working on Rider stuff, Vice stamps, power-ups, whatever it may be. And being a big Kamen Rider fan, it was always kind of inevitable that he would get his own time to transform. Now, we already did get to see him transform a long time ago into Kamen Rider Demons for an episode. We weren't sure if that was going to be the only time he would transform, or if he would ever get his own dedicated rider form. It does seem like he is going to get his own dedicated rider form, so we don't know necessarily. It looks like it's going to be an evil rider based off of him fighting Ultimate Revi and Ultimate Vice, but that could just be some manipulation with the scans. It could just be maybe he's training them or something, or whatever, but for what we can tell, it looks like he'll be a main antagonist for the end of the show here. Now, to that point, we don't know if this is going to be George acting within his own volition, or if this is going to be under the influence of GIF or some other weird outside influence or something, but that's yet to be seen. But we can see from the Kamen Rider Juuga suits that, first of all, via the name, we can tell that it is very reminiscent of Kamen Rider Kuga, specifically his ultimate form. Is kind of where there's getting inspiration for this suit from, and I think that looks really, really cool. I like the suit a lot. You've already seen the suit before in 2 different riders, because this is just the Kamen Rider Chimera suit and the Kamen Rider Diamond suit or Damon suit from the Revice summer film, just once again repainted and kind of patched together into a 3rd suit. So hard to say if we'll ever see those other 2 suits ever again. That might have been the end of it. Could have just been that TTFC special in the Revice summer movie that we ever see Chimera and Diamond, but here it is. It also explains why we never got the Chimera driver's toy announcement yet. But now I would imagine that that's pretty much right around the corner whenever Juuga officially premieres in the show, because I don't know exactly what episode he's supposed to transform in. But we kind of, it's a very similar situation to the Veil and Destrian driver, where we had one driver for so long, and then we were waiting for an upgrade for it to actually get a toy release. Same exact thing here, because we saw that there were some ports and other things on the Chimera driver that seemed to point to it getting some sort of upgrade, or we weren't done with it toy-wise. So I'm sure we're going to get a toy announcement of the Chimera driver with this upgrade piece for Juuga, and probably at least 2 Vice stamps, the one that can be upgraded from Chimeras to Diamonds, and then the one for Juuga. And speaking of the one for Juuga, that's also where the Ju part of the name comes from, because that's the Japanese word for 10, and we can see on this Vice stamp that this is 10 different Vice stamp logos, which is of course the original 10 Vice stamps from the beginning of Kamen Rider Revice. So like Rex and Mammoth and Eagle and all the other ones. All the ones that we saw back at the very beginning of the show, you can see are all kind of scattered across this Vice stamp, which I think makes it look really, really cool. I definitely like how this Vice stamp turned out, and I cannot wait to see George transform into Kamen Rider Juuga in the final episodes of the show. Moving over to Zenkaiju, we actually have another memorial announcement for the show coming out of kind of nowhere, but it was teased a week ago. I just didn't talk about it yet because I was kind of dreading it, and then it showed up and I was like, yeah, it's not that worth it. And this is the Memorial Edition Geartozinger, Stacy's repaint / slight remold of the original Geartozinger. Now, this is not surprising in the fact that they've already now done the Memorial Geartozinger, so it's not too much of an effort for them to just take that and make it a different color and kind of change it a little bit. That's basically what they did for the original toys. But basically, a week ago or so, we kind of had some Bandai demonstration videos and blog posts about the Geartozinger as it's kind of moving on more and more into its development and its more and more prototype stages. We got this little teaser image for the obviously silhouette of a Geartozinger, and we were like, oh, alright, I guess we're doing it. Now, they had hinted at a Geartozinger and even a Geartozinger a couple of months ago. They basically said if the Memorial Geartozinger sold well enough, they would consider doing the other 2 changers in the Memorial line. And so we see this one, so I would imagine the Geartozinger is maybe gonna happen. That one would actually require a lot more new molding than this one would, so they could just stop here. And I don't know if this one's gonna sell so well, so we might not ever get the Geartozinger. But essentially, the Memorial Edition Geartozinger has now been officially announced for a March 2023 release, and it's nice. I see how nice it is. However, the original Geartozinger, if you remember, basically a year ago to the day, was a premium Bandai exclusive from the very beginning. So we have a premium Bandai version of the original deluxe toy, and now a premium Bandai version of the Memorial toy. So this was always an expensive item. It was well over $100 the last time, or it might have just been $100 the last time, and it is now nearly $200 the second time. So I don't really need it a second time, and there's not much here that's different from the original version to, I feel, make it worth it. If you're a huge Stacy fan, and if you never picked up the Geartozinger in the past, then yeah, this is definitely worth it in that regard. If you never got the original version, absolutely get this one. This is definitely the more definitive version because of the toy being bigger and because of the gears being die-cast metal. I mean, it's definitely better in that regard, but if you have the original version, you really don't get much here. But basically what you do get is you get die-cast gears for Stay Caesar, Zenkaiju, Zenkai, Go Ranger, Ju Ranger, Gal Ranger, Maja Ranger, and Bokenger. So essentially the same kind of gears you got the first time around, just a little bit more. Basically, you don't get every dark gear that Stacy ever used, which maybe they'll do like a premium Bandai die-cast dark gear set, although I kind of doubt it. You don't really need to do that. The original gears can still work in the Memorial stuff, and they released all the dark gears last year anyway, so they didn't really need to do this. But you do get Stay Caesar, of course, you get that one, and of course you get Jiron and Gowon because of the dark Zenkaiju, and then you get the 5 main Sentai teams that the Zenkaijus are based off of. That's where those 5 are coming from, so that makes sense. The only actual exclusive gear here is finally getting a release of the Tojiro Gear, which of course is the gears that the Toji Tendo trap worlds into. We never got a toy release of that throughout the entirety of the show, and we saw it like nearly every episode. It was the one where, like, you know, the worlds, they would defeat the monster, land on the ground, and like the big ones would step on it, or we saw it in, of course, the base of the Toji Tendo all the time. It's kind of it's basically exactly what the crank is based off of on the Geartozinger. So we just never got a release of it. Now, it doesn't do anything. It's explicitly stated that this can't be read by the toy or anything like that. I don't even think it could fit in the toys. It can't fit in any like the Donbrothers stuff or anything like that. It's just an aesthetic piece. So, I mean, it's cool. I definitely do like that we're finally getting a release of it. But that's it. Like, it just sits there. It's just gonna be like, I probably die cast as well. But it's cool. It's just not like me willing to buy this toy again for $190. Cool. And then of course you do get voice phrases because it is a Memorial Edition item. You get voice phrases from Stacy and Ijirude, but then again, premium Bandai toys just do that anyway, so the original Geartozinger already had that. So I don't know how different the voice phrases are going to be, but they're here again. You're also going to get background music, which that is new. That is something that they pretty much only do for the Memorial items and not necessarily the base premium Bandai stuff, but still, yet again, it's just very similar to the original release. But like I said, if you never picked up the original release, then it's definitely worth it. But if you're somebody like me who has the original release, because you never would have expected a Memorial Edition to come out like a year later, it's not, I just don't feel like it's that worth it. So this will be one Zenkaiju item that I am skipping. I am getting the Memorial Edition Gear Leaner, like the base regular one. I already have that paid off, but even that I don't think is that crazy of an upgrade. Because I really do like Zenkaiju, I really do like the Sentai Gear toy line. I wanted to get at least one of these before I knew that they were going to maybe do all 3 of them. And I think a Gear Leaner actually could have nice upgrades, like maybe making a full-size blade and taking out the gyroscope thing inside of it and just making like an actual button for the tambourine. I think would make that toy infinitely better. So if they do those 2 things, or at least one of those 2 things, I will 100% pick up a Memorial Edition Gear Leaner. Also, I just love Zox and everything, so I'm more willing and more excited to pick up something like that than I would this. I do like Stacy. I love the purple gun. I love the evil Ranger stuff out there, but I don't know. I just can't justify $190 for it. But if you can, it is available on Toku Collectibles right now for pre-order, and I will leave a link to it in the description below. But just don't expect a video review on it on this channel or anything like that. Maybe someday if I can find it for somewhat of an okay price, I'll probably pick it up to just complete my Zenkaiju toy line. Like, it's not like I never want this eventually. I'm not going to pre-order it, basically. But that is the Memorial Edition Geartozinger. Moving on to Kamen Rider Geats, now that he's been officially revealed, we got a lot of magazine scans for him in the most recent issue of Televi-Kun, and we finally get to kind of get a good look at what's going on with the suits and some of the other power-ups or different, form swaps, and of course, the first batch of toys. So of course, we've already known that the base form of Kamen Rider Geats is going to be known as Magnum Boost, and those are referring to the two different names of the two different buckles that he uses. So we now know officially that the gimmick is these buckles. I don't know if they have a formal name than that, I'm sure they do. It's editing Josh here. They do. They're called Revice Buckles, Josh. They're called Revice Buckles. Ryder Buckles is what I'll call them for this video. But the Ryder Buckles here are basically going to be two different buckles that you place onto the kind of just base Geats driver. Well, the Desire driver is what it's called. But like, it looks like we've already heard from the rumors and stuff that multiple riders are going to use the Desire driver. So we can see, and I'll talk about this later with the toys, but there's more specifically like a little Geats logo that you kind of put in the center to make it like Geats' version of the Desire driver, and then you attach these buckles on there. From the scans that he doesn't necessarily actually have to use Magnum Boost in that order. He can go Boost Magnum, he can just go Boost, he can just go Magnum. So we see that like black generic base form that he has, and then you just attach the armor. You get a chest armor and a leg armor, depending on what side of the driver you put the buckle on. So you can swap them around in the toys, and we're not exactly sure how often they're going to do it in the show, but we do get an example, at least with Magnum Boost, of it being used for both different, sides, which is really, really cool. I really, really like the one where we have Boost as the chest. It definitely gives me a lot of Cho Dead Heat Drive vibes, and I love that suit a lot, so I hope that this one actually appears on the show. We're not 100% sure if it will. But we've already seen enough of Magnum Boost. I mean, it still looks fantastic. I absolutely love this base form for Kamen Rider Geats, but we're not really here to talk about Magnum Boost that much because we have some of the other ones. So we have this water form, which is going to be kind of a more simpler buckle. It looks like we're going to get kind of a lot more advanced buckles, or the deluxe buckles, for lack of a better word. They're going to be like these bigger ones that probably have their own dedicated electronics that that just kind of take up a big portion of the belt. And then we have these like smaller ones, which we see a couple of in the toys, and now here with the water one. We are going to get deluxe releases of them, but these are probably the kind of ones that we could maybe get as like Gashapon or Kanto exclusives, depending on how the line goes. Because these ones are just a lot more simpler. They kind of just like latch in on the side and just give them some kind of basic armor or some kind of basic weapon. And we see that with the water form here. He gets this like fire ladder thing, which is, if you recognize that is actually the same fire ladder as used in the Fire Hedgehog form of Kamen Rider Build. So rest in peace, Fire Hedgehog. They took his arm and they painted it blue and they gave it to Geats. But for the rest of it, we pretty much have these pictures of the actual Desire Driver Deluxe toy. So these come from Amazon Japan. Now it does look like via Amazon Japan that the pre-order listings for this is going to go up on August 20th. So the page is up, but it's not active for you to actually order it yet, but I will leave a link to it in the description below so you can check it out or bookmark it or whatever you want to do to make sure you can actually get a pre-order in for Kamen Rider Geats' Desire Driver. And so we can see from the base set here, you're going to of course get Magnum and Boost to get you started, and you're also going to get the Hammer Buckle, which is going to be one of the more simpler ones. I don't think we've seen a picture of what Hammer specifically looks like, but we just know that Hammer is coming with this belt to kind of get you started with getting some of the form swaps and kind of getting the feel of how this gimmick is going to work. So you're going to get at least 3 buckles here with the kind of base set. You're also going to get, there's also like a combo set you can buy, which is going to come with the holder and the zombie buckle. So the zombie buckle and the holder is going to be sold as its own thing. We talked about that in the toy listings for Geats a couple of days ago, so be sure to check out that Toku Talks episode from this past Monday if you'd like to learn about some of the other like listings we have for buckles. Definitely be sure to check that out. But we can finally get to see the zombie one here. This is another one where we haven't actually seen what the suit looks like. I think it's also been rumored that the zombie buckle is for its own dedicated rider. That is not a rumor anymore, actually. We can actually see Kamen Rider Buffa's little sign or signal thing in the promo shots here. So the zombie buckle is going to be the main buckle of him, and the holder is going to come with both his buckle and the little like Buffa piece to put in the center. And you will get both of those with this combo set. You also can probably see from this combo set image here, we have this buckle that is very much a Revice themed buckle, and it is. So basically, this Revice buckle is a first release bonus with the Desire Driver. So you know how this works sometimes. A lot of times we'll get like a Legend Rider gimmick based off the previous show. For the new show, that is a first release bonus if you buy it in like the first week or maybe even 2 weeks if you're lucky of the driver here. So So Amazon Japan should have a listing, or this specific listing actually, should be the one to where you're guaranteed to get this first release bonus, but if you ordered it off of like HLJ or other stores and stuff like that, you might not be guaranteed to get it. But it is a full-on deluxe buckle that obviously is Revice based. We don't know what it does necessarily, but we can see the Revice driver on it, and I really like how this looks a lot. So I would like to try to get this combo set to get the Revice buckle at the very least. We haven't seen any of the other like Legend Rider ones, but I'm sure we'll probably get Legend Rider ones throughout the show at some point. It's a staple of a Kamen Rider toy line, so I'm sure it's going to happen. But all this looks really, really cool. And then, of course, before we wrap it up today, I cannot forget Donbrothers, who didn't have a huge presence in this month's Televi-Kun issue, but we do have something exciting, and that is ToraDoraOnitaijin. So we already knew that ToraDoraOnitaijin, which is the mecha of Don Dragoku and Don Torabolt, which is releasing this upcoming month, we already knew that was going to be able to combine with Don Onitaijin, and it most certainly can, so we can finally get to see the look at that here. And I think it looks pretty good. It's definitely tempting me to actually buy ToraDoraOnitaijin, but I just don't have like $75 to spend on that right now. So maybe I'll wait for that to go on sale like I did Don Onitaijin, because I got Don Onitaijin for like $55 or something like that. So I have Onitaijin, so I should probably get this one, but we'll see. So I do like the combination. A lot of people, the rumors and stuff, were saying that the head was going to look like Great Gobustero, and I definitely see that there. I also get a little bit of like Kanzen Gokaio vibes from this. I'm looking forward to seeing it in the show and how it's going to, work and everything like that. And that's basically everything we had for Donbrothers, though. But I know a lot of people were very excited to see ToraDoraOnitaijin, and well, here it is. So let me know what you guys think about it. And with that, that's everything we have to talk about from this latest batch of Televi-Kun scans and some other random Toku stuff that's happened this past week. Very exciting stuff is just constantly happening for Toku at this point, which is really cool. I think Revice looks like it's going to wrap up pretty cool. I think that Zenkaiju's Memorial Geartozinger is fine. I think Geats looks awesome so far, and of course Donbrothers continues to be amazing. So I'd love to know all your guys' thoughts down in the comments below on everything I talked about here today for all these different shows. Which items are you going to pick up? Which items are you avoiding? Which items do you want to see? And anything you guys want to talk about, I'm going to read it down there. And of course, until next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LiveNerdTricky or at LandingFigPR, and I'll see you all next time.